Good morning and welcome to week 12 of the Saturday Morning Huddle. Kenny Rhoda alongside John Bozica. We're going to recap what went down in week 12 overall, week number 2 of the OHSAA playoffs in and around Stark County last night, John. And we both had games. We're going to break them down. And some teams in Stark County had good nights. Unfortunately, more teams had bad nights.
Yeah, kind of a tough night all the way around for Stark County. Not the night that we expected, but we did get 3 winners last night. We saw McKinley win. We saw Massillon get a big win. And then obviously East Canton, they are the story of the county right now with their continued success. So congrats to the 3 that move on, and unfortunate for the seasons that come to a close. But a lot of great seasons came to a close yesterday, and we're happy to be able to recap them this morning.
And before we do that and give you all the scores and get into our highlights as well as live interviews from last night, we want to thank our sponsors for being a part of the Saturday Morning Huddle. Without them, this isn't possible. So thank you to AkronAutoAuction.com, Mary Ann Donuts, Community One Credit Union, DeHoff Realtor, Ty Colucci, and Dirty Hands Excavating and Restoration. And also a shout out to Old Carolina Barbecue, Brian Bailey, for the Old Carolina Barbecue Players of the Game, and to all of our sponsors for making this possible and giving everybody an opportunity to see what happened in and around Stark County from every Friday night. We bring it to you on Saturday mornings. And John, let's just run down the scores real quick, and then we can start, telling everybody what we saw from the games that we had, and look at some of the video highlights, and then you can tell them who's going to be joining us here on the Saturday Morning Huddle. McKinley, a big winner at home last night, 30-7 over Medina. So McKinley moves on in D1 Region 1. Unfortunately for Jackson, their season comes to a close as they went on the road and lost to Menor 52-6. In Division 2, Region 7, Massillon, a blowout winner over Hoover, 62-7, the final. I didn't see that one coming. I thought Massillon would win, but I didn't see a dominating score like that, 62-7. So Massillon moves on. Hoover's season is over. Division 2, Region 5, Lake at home. The game you did, John, you'll break that down for us. Unfortunately, 2 points shy of at least forcing a tie and moving to overtime. They fall to Hudson, 14-12, the final there. Also in Division 2, Region 5, Green falls to Fitch, 28-25. So Lake loses by 2, Green loses by 3, but hey, it's win in advance, lose and go home. Unfortunately, Green and Lake are going home to watch the rest of the playoffs. Division 7, Region 25, you mentioned it. East Canton on the road at Fairport Harding. East Canton 46, Fairport Harding 26. And so Spider Miller and the Hornets are moving on.
Yeah, that was a 10-0 Fairport Harding team too. So that was no slouch of an opponent. And I think they have the attention of D7 Region 25. Malvern fell last night too, by the way, to Monroeville, 34-14. I think it's fascinating. Those games that we saw last night, you guys obviously got to see a dominant performance by Massillon, and what a defensive game it was back and forth between Hudson and Lake last night. Lots of turnovers. Alex Quire struggled at times with 4 interceptions and still had one unbelievable touchdown pass that you guys will see later. There's no question. It's tough. These matchups, these are what you would normally get if it was just 8 teams in the playoffs again, 4 versus 5. I really believe, I know Dan DeGeorge said in the paper during the week that he felt that Hudson was the best team they're going to see all year. And Kenny, I got to say, defensively, they were super impressive. They had 6 shutouts entering the game, and they were just about as close to that last night. 2 of the points came by way of a safety for Lake. 3 of them came by way of a field goal, and then the other by way of a touchdown. So Lake was in Hudson territory all night, and they struggled to do much of anything once they got there. Hudson's defense, they were legit.
Interesting, at least for me, and we'll talk to Coach Renzi Parnell from McKinley here in just one second. The 3 teams that had a bye, seemed to struggle a little bit early. Massillon fell behind 7-0, but then they dominated, so it didn't affect them too much. McKinley was tied 7-7 with a Medina team at halftime, and then they woke up and destroyed them in the second half. And Lake, they drive all the way down there. They have to settle for a field goal, and they have trouble scoring. Maybe it affected them, but the bye week, there's positives and negatives to it, John. And let's bring in the head coach from McKinley right now, Renzi Parnell, first-year head coach of the Bulldogs, victorious yesterday over Medina, 30-7, the final score. First of all, Coach, congratulations on your first playoff win as a head coach. A lot of firsts for you this year. How'd that one feel?
It felt great. I felt great. I appreciate it. Yep, it meant a lot to me.
Coach, I mentioned the bye week, okay? And you guys are tied 7-7 after having a week off. Was it the bye week? Was it what we call the Maslin hangover maybe that affected your guys a little bit before you woke up and dominated in the second half? What was maybe the key to the slower start?
Yeah, you can say all those things. Maybe it affected you, but we actually played really well on defense. I didn't think it was a slow start at all for those guys. And offensively, we did some things really well also in the beginning of the game. We just didn't finish. Okay. We ran the ball really well, but we didn't finish drives. We had some turnovers to finish drives and didn't complete the task. So second half, we woke up and we started finishing the drives, and, that was the difference.
Coach, do you think some of that might be, too, that there's a bit of, I don't know, disrespect from the outside looking in that Medina is a 4-7 football team, and maybe they're a little bit better than that record indicates?
Well, I think that them beating Strongsville, set the table for that. Like we knew that going in. It wasn't hard to convince the kids of that because of, we had so much respect for Strongsville, and they beat Strongsville. So they knew right away, okay, this team is capable of winning. So,
Renzi, for you, how did you get over the Maslin loss? Because I've covered this now for over a decade, right? And we always hear about that effect, right? Whether you win it or lose it, there's always that effect. So you're used to beating Maslin. At least you're 50-50 when you were at Hoban, so you know what it's like on both sides. So how did you handle that with your team?
Yeah, it's one of those things that can be tough. The bye week can help or hurt, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? So you just got to get them in the right mind frame to move on and to not let it define them as a team. You know what I mean? So, we preached about that the whole bye week, about not letting it defeat you, not letting that loss beat you twice, that type of thing. So, that was our mindset, and we got ourselves up out of it, and came out with a win the next week.
Coach, everybody talks about your defense and how great that side of the ball is. What's allowed them to grow as this year has gone along and become the defense that they are?
Some of his experience, just getting more reps out there. Obviously, they're buying into what we preach about running to the football and being fast and physical. And the kids are smart, right? They're playing really sound football. They're playing smart football. And we saw a lot last night, right? We saw a team that was emptied the bag in terms of formations and some trick plays and things like that. So they did a good job. Yeah,
a couple of onside kicks. Were you prepared for that? Were you thinking Larry would come out with all of that?
Yeah, I mean, they've showed it before too. So we knew it was coming. So it was a lot of different things that they did to us that was maybe unorthodox, but we were prepared.
Coach, has the mindset changed for your kids now that the playoffs are here, or do you think it stayed similar to the mindset that you guys were in the regular season?
I like to say similar, but let's be honest, like this win or go home. So it's digging down deep, given everything, you got in terms of kids playing multiple positions, playing both ways. It's playoff football, right? So now in terms of do we approach the game the same way? Absolutely. We always preach 1-0, and we've been doing that, since the season started.
All right, tell me a little bit about using Shad Davis the way you guys did last night. He almost has 100 yards, but reaches pay dirt 3 different times in the game.
Yeah, no, he's a special dude. Shad Davis is different. He's probably one of the best players I've ever coached, and that's saying a lot. You know what I mean? Yeah. So some of the guys I coached. So he's always been that guy for us. Defensively, he's tough to deal with. He's all over the field. We play him at, I've played him at corner and free safety and strong safety and both linebacker spots. And by the way, he's one of the best blitzers. So he's that type of guy. He's one of the best ball catchers, and he can catch the ball as well. So just a special player, special athlete.
Some of that come from the fact that you guys found a way to get him the ball against Massillon and he scored. Did some of that come from that, or was it just something that you already had built in?
Yeah, no, we knew that week one. So some of it comes from it's tough to put a lot on the kid early in the season. You want to make sure that they're in shape and can handle the load, and you're not wearing them out throughout the season, that type of thing. So it's just as we get down to playoff time, we're not going to lose without him on the field.
It's interesting you just brought that up, Coach, because I've talked with Nate Moore about this over the years. Their mindset is we're going to play for 16 weeks. They're thinking of winning a state championship. I know that's the way you thought at Hoban. You're bringing that to McKinley, right? So you're preparing for 16, not just the 10 that maybe a lot of schools are, right? So you're looking at the bigger picture, trying to load management is the term in the NBA, right? Making sure you have guys fresh for a long run in the playoffs, correct?
Well, honestly, that's all I know, right? That's how I coach. The expectation is always to play week 16, and I don't know any other way to do it. So,
Coach, I know that in the last 10, 15 years at McKinley, there's been this kind of tough spot that they get to in the playoffs where they win a playoff game and then they play against a team like a Mentor or an Ignatius or someone that's a little bit bigger and a little bit badder, and they haven't been able to get past them. What do you think makes this team capable of doing that? And what are you going to try to instill in your guys to know that they're capable of doing that?
Well, I don't think I need to. I think they do know that they're capable of doing that. So it's more about execution, right? It's more about the week of practice, the focus, the mentality as far as, going to practice and making sure we're executing and getting better and preparing ourselves to win. But they know that they're capable. That's for sure. We talked about it today even. So we'll get that part done. Now it's just about having a good week of practice and making sure we're focused, because Mentor is a really good football team and a well-coached football team as well.
All right, let's go there, Coach. I always say fast break football. They're up-tempo, but they can run it if they have to, but they throw it well. What are your early thoughts on the Mentor squad that you'll face Friday night at Mentor?
Really good, undefeated for a reason, right? So they got a good mix, like you said. They can run it, which they run it better now than they have in the past. Like, they got a really good running game, and they go to it. They used to rely a little bit more on the passing game. So they are a running football team, that's for sure. And you got to respect what they do in the air. It looks like they got really good receivers outside as well, guys that can make plays. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but we'll be ready.
Coach, I always like to ask the question, are they going to be the best team you guys have seen this year?
I mean, we're going to approach it that way. I'll tell you that. I mean, they're undefeated. They played a really good schedule, so we'll definitely approach it that way. I think it's too early for me to say that. I got to dive in and look at the film. Obviously, we think Massillon is a really good football team. The St. Augustine team we played is a really good football team. So, yeah, we'll see.
How will those games maybe help you in this contest, playing, two outstanding teams, two teams that could possibly win state titles? How might that help you this week?
It always helps, right? When you want to be the best, you got to play the best. So we live by that, but it always helps. And you lean on some of that experience and some of those big games to, get you through the rest.
Coach, we've talked about it, but your quarterback, having a kid that is such a leader on and off the field, does that mean even more now than it meant maybe in the regular season?
Yeah, you're probably right with that. Yep. A playoff time, things are a little bit more tighter, but yeah, he's huge. In so many ways, he's very huge for us. His experience, his poise, especially when things don't go your way. That's when you really see it come up, right? Like it's cool to have a guy like that when things are going your way, but when things don't go your way, or it's a bad play or a turnover, that's when he really shows up for you and kind of calm the waters.
All right, I'm curious, Coach. This Sunday, we're all getting together at the Hall of Fame Village to pick the all-county team, right? All-county player of the year and coach of the year. But you'll see Jay Rohr there from Jackson, who you played against, right? But his team just played Mentor. Are you going to pick his brain for any tips, about what he saw against the Cardinals, who handled them 52-6?
Absolutely. Why not? Right. I'll try.
Coach, being at this point, just being in playoff football and getting this opportunity as a head coach, what is this like for you at this point? You've experienced a lot of firsts, as Kenny said, this year, but getting to round 2 of the playoffs as a head coach, what are you learning about yourself in this process?
To be honest with you, I mean, my head is so down and it's business as usual is what I feel like, to be honest with you. Now when it's over, I'll probably sit back and reflect and say, wow, that was pretty cool. First year got to that accomplishment. But right now I'm in, it's no different than years past at Hoban or wherever. I mean, it's this grind time is business as usual. The expectation is to play 16 weeks. That's the way I've always viewed it. That's the way we want to do it. So.
Coach, we appreciate you getting up with us on the Saturday morning huddle. Congrats on the win last night. Best of luck this week on the road at Mentor.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks. Go Pups.
Renzi Parnell, outstanding first year for him, John Bozica, right? Had a win last night. Larry Laird and the upset-minded Medina Bees, and I know Larry pretty well from his time at Medina. It's where I live, and he emptied the tank on them last night, and they were right there, 7-7 going into the third quarter, but the better team pulled away in that third quarter, fourth quarter. Defensively, McKinley outstanding. They get the win now. We'll see if they can do it on the road against the Mentor Cardinals.
Yeah, obviously I think Mentor has kind of been a bit of a gold standard in recent years for being a really, really good playoff team. I know they've never won the big one, whether it was Coach Triv being there or now Coach Matt Gray being there, but they're there every year. They are not just there every year. They are a team that every season I expect to make it to at least the regional final. I would say that if Mentor doesn't do that, the season was not a success.
Right.
So, McKinley has a chance here to knock them out. They have a chance to take them down. And as I said, McKinley, I feel like you have to go all the way back to, the Brian Cross years in like 2005, 2004 for them to really find a signature win like that. They have some wins over Massillon in that time, but they've been searching for that signature win. And this would be a playoff win that could propel the program to being back. And again, you want to talk about first year accomplishments. If Renzi's looking for that, feather in the cap type of win, he was close against Massillon. I thought late in the game they were going to pull it out. And, this is arguably even more important though now, because then it's a chance to maybe play St. Ed's, maybe have a chance to go to the state Final Four.
Yeah, it'll be a great matchup Friday night, and best of luck to the McKinley Bulldogs. All right, time now. You teased it. Let's get to our Marianne Donuts sweet play of the week, and I'll turn it over to you on this one, John, because you had the game last night where this play occurred.
Yeah, it was really a game that was a tough night of passing for Lake. As I said, Alex Squire threw 4 interceptions last night. Not a night that he ever wants to remember in his lifetime, but his 1 touchdown pass was pretty special. Here it is. We're going to run it right now. He's rolling out to his right, throws. What was that? Tipped by Chase Fuller and then caught by Ty DeGeorge. Thanks.
All right, pull that graphic down so people can actually see the catch. Here we go. And there's the pass. Tip up. Ty DeGeorge hauls it in, and luckily his butt was down in the end zone when he caught it, or it might have been stopped at the 1-yard line, but it goes for a touchdown, John. What a great play.
It was incredible. Just the fact that Chase was able to tip it just the right way. You see so many times where a play like that ends in an interception. Yeah. And there was kind of a sense of shock even for us in the booth as he caught it. But as you said, Ty was literally just right there, Johnny, on the spot. In a night where, as I said after that play happened, in a night where passing was a struggle for them, yeah. if you're gonna throw a touchdown pass, it better be a hell of a play.
And let's make sure everybody knows that wasn't designed to go that way. It's not like they had the tip drill pass play. You need a little bit of luck, right? When you're in the playoffs and it's overthrown, but like you said, Fuller gets a hand on it enough to knock it over the defenders and into the arms of Ty DeGeorge, who was nice to see him back after breaking his ankle early in the season. And not only did he have this touchdown catch, he had an interception in the game, even though they lost 14-12.
He did. And I do want to give credit to Lee Munoz, by the way, one of the associate principals at Lake for helping us to get this video and have it on here. You're right though, Kenny, about Ty coming back and being fresh. That was the first thing we noticed last night. He carried the ball like on the first drive of the game for Lake and ran for, I think, near 30 yards. And you could just see that, whereas earlier in the season, week 10, when he played against Green, he was not as fresh. Last night, his legs were fresh and he looked like a guy that was ready to come back and ready to go. And man, I just think of what could have been this year for Lake. They were 6-0 and they finished the year after that, I think 1-4, and just, I think the Federal League schedule, I think it just gets to you. We were talking to Brock Klein last night, the athletic director there, and he said, our late season schedule, they had McKinley, they had Hoover, they had Jackson, they had the toughest teams that they would play in the Federal League. Closed the year with Green, who was playing some of the best football. They came up 3 points short of advancing to week 13 last night. So just a tough way to see the season end, but a lot of bright spots for them. And hey, that Marianne Donuts sweep play is a cool moment. Obviously not a win, but you'll take it. You'll take a play where you can get it like that.
Yeah, and you know what? Ty DeGeorge, only a junior, so he's coming back for another year, and a tough way to end the season. Lake finishes 7-4. They led 3-0 early on when you mentioned Ty DeGeorge running the football, as they got a J.P. Moorhead field goal early in the game, but then they trailed 14-3 at the half, John, and came back and actually had the ball down 14-12 at their own 19-yard line with a chance to – all they needed was a field goal to win it too, right? And they get into Hudson territory where if they would have picked up another 10 or 15 yards, they might have been able to attempt a game-winning field goal, right?
Yeah, they had a chance late. They certainly did. And what was interesting about that, too, the storyline that developed last night is that Hayden Lipinski, the normal starting quarterback for Hudson, we never got an explanation of what happened, but he went down and was injured. We didn't even see him on the field late in the game. So I'm not sure. I mean, obviously we hope, thoughts and prayers with the kid. Hope he's okay. Right. And then they brought in Nathan Judy, who was their tight end. He had led the team in receiving yards entering the game, 30 receptions, 335 yards, 5 touchdowns. He actually caught their first touchdown last night from Lipinski. And then they brought him in, and Bob, who was with us on the call last night, was like, he looked like Travis Kelce throwing the ball. And then Bob, after the game, he went down and he saw the Hudson coaches and he said, hey, that Judy kid throws a better ball than your actual quarterback. And the coaches told him that he was the quarterback last year.
Yeah. He threw for over 1,000 yards last year for Hudson. So
what's crazy about that, Kenny, is he hadn't attempted a pass. He hadn't attempted a pass in the stats this year. So, obviously you throw for 1,000 yards last year. You don't forget how to throw the football.
Right.
But it's a shock to the system to see a kid that you don't have registered in the numbers. We don't even have him as the backup quarterback on the depth chart. And then they bring him in and he doesn't just throw a good ball. Like, he's rolling out to his right on one play and fires a bullet into a kid that's falling to the ground for a first down on a third down play. So, it's impressive. I said it last night too. Ron Wright, if you remember at Hudson, built that about 10, 15 years ago. And Jeff Goff has just continued it. The way they play football in the playoffs and the defense that they had, it's an impressive program.
6 shutouts coming into the game. They hold Lake to 1 touchdown in the game. But in both our game, where Massillon destroyed Hoover 62-7 after trailing 7-0, and in your game, turnovers, right? Hoover had, 4 turnovers? I think 3 interceptions and a fumble, a couple of turnover on downs. So they really had like 6 turnovers. And to beat a team like Massillon, you can't do that, right? To give you just paint a quick picture. Hoover, and pull up the Andes play, if you will, because this was the runner-up to the Marianne Donuts sweep play of the week. This is John Collins to Jack Andes. This is the first possession of the game, second play of the game for Hoover. They go up 7-0, and we're thinking, oh, okay, this might be a game where it could be decided in the fourth quarter. But then Massillon scored the next 62 points, John, and a lot of that was due to Hoover shooting themselves in the foot with turnover on downs, penalties, and you can't do that if you're going to beat a Massillon or a Hudson in the playoffs. And unfortunately for Hoover and Lake, turnovers, or the FIPS, as I like to call them, fumbles, interceptions, and penalties, killed both teams' chances of advancing to the next round of the playoffs.
Yeah, and as we were driving home last night, Kenny, I heard the call that Dan made, and then I heard Mark Miller say, and I thought it was the best, analyzing of that play. He said, it's impressive that we saw John Collins against, Jackson. We saw him against McKinley. We saw him against other teams, and he outran those teams. And those teams were fast, and those teams were good. He said, a dude is a real player when he comes and he outruns Maslin. And
well, Jack Andes did that. Yeah. Collins threw the ball, and Andes is the one who turned on the afterburners and took it to the house.
Yeah, and that's not just any, guy giving chase. I mean, you see Jaden Williams there, the kid who's headed to Indiana, right, the linebacker, giving chase to him. So, we're talking about dudes that Maslin has on that side of the ball. Again, another team, they were as good as anyone this year in terms of the season they had. And I thought it was interesting, you telling me last night, Kenny, too, how many snaps they took from in Maslin territory early in the game. And one of the plays, and I actually want to run those full highlights, and then we got to get the spider here, but I want to run these full highlights real quick, because you've got this first touchdown, but then Maslin, they're able to respond right back, aren't they, Kenny?
Yeah, they came right back. Xavier Owens with a big touchdown run, and it was 7-7. And then again, Hoover's threatening, and they dial up a perfect play where it's a halfback option pass, but unfortunately, Andes underthrew Collins, the quarterback, who was sneaking out, and would have had a touchdown if Andes throws a better ball, and it's intercepted by Maslin. Maslin then goes down in a 7-7 game, takes a 14-7 lead. And then on the next possession, Collins throws a pick, and it's 21-7, and it's over. And here's that, and we can cut it after this so we can get to Coach Spider Miller. That's Xavier Owens tying it right there. And then back-to-back turnovers by, the Hoover Vikings. And this is the play that I'm talking about. And Coach will get to you here right after this play. And you can see he's getting behind the defender, John, and he's underthrown. And so, that opened the door for Maslin. They drove it right down the field, scored to take the lead, and never trailed again, and scored 62 in a row.
Now, Kenny, the great story that we've had all year in the county has been that of the guy with 8 legs up on the competition, as I like to say, because his name is John Spider Miller.
I like it.
I try to add that in there somewhere. Coach, you guys made a long trip last night up to Fairport Harbor. Like I said, to the unknowing fan, they don't know where the hell that is. So it's up in Lake County. But Coach, that was a great trip, a 46-26 win. Congratulations to you and your kids, and thanks for joining us this morning on the Huddle.
Hey, thanks for having me on. The bus ride wasn't too bad. We got a charter, so that made it a little bit more comfortable. And obviously, when you win, it makes it a little bit more comfortable coming home. But it was a great win for us. We played hard.
Coach, I mean, I go back to when we had the opening banquet, or I shouldn't say banquet, the dinner. And you talked about your team, and we're like, okay, let's see what. And you guys kind of flew under the radar this year, and here you are, one of 3 teams advancing in Stark County to Week 13. Take me through this season to how you got to this point, and the fact that you're still playing, because it is one of the best stories in Stark County this year.
Well, thanks. Our kids come to practice and have the will to practice hard. We've had to deal with a lot of adversity as far as kids getting hurt. We lost a couple kids after the Sandy Valley game for the season. We lost a couple last week from the season. So, we had 5 kids out right now. And, the other kids have stepped up. We're moving people around. We're practicing with 22 kids, maybe 23, depending, but they jump in and they help us out, and give us the best look we can on the scout team. They can on offense and defense, but they've had the resilience and the perseverance to just get better and fight through things, and they don't seem to let a lot of things bother them. Just like last night, they scored on the opening kickoff return, and we just play the next play, and we battled back and played hard.
Coach, I think what's so interesting about your career is you were at Perry, a big school. You were at McKinley, a big school. You've played at schools that have 60, 70-man rosters, and you're playing here with 23 kids, 22 sometimes. Does this experience make coaching even more special for you when you've got a smaller group that's just playing for each other?
Well, they hold the rope for each other. They do the things we ask them to do. They watch film. We have to move somebody. We had to move an inside linebacker to outside linebacker this week, and he practiced and did a great job for us last night. We had a freshman starting at linebacker. So, we'll see after the weekend. Hopefully people will be healthy. And, it is week 13. I mean, people are banged up. But you know what? If we can come back and we'll practice hard this week and get ready to, for the challenge of beating Mogador. They're a heck of a football team.
Spider Miller joining us here on the Saturday Morning Huddle. They were victorious over Fairport Harding, 46-26 last night. Coach, who stood out for you last night? I didn't get any of the stats this morning, so I'm going to rely on you to share the wealth of who played well last night for you.
Well, a lot of kids did, and our offensive line gave our quarterback some protection last night, and he was able to throw the ball. I mean, he was 14 of 19 for 184 yards and had a touchdown, ran for a touchdown. Dylan Anderson almost had 100 yards. We'll go back through the stats and see if he did, but I mean, he had 20 carries for 99 and had two touchdowns, but our receivers did a great job catching the ball, and we ran the ball. And I tell you what, we hit on both sides of the ball, and we ran to the ball defensively. They were quick, very quick, and very proud of our kids. There's obviously things that we need to work on. When I came here, I told them this is going to be treated like a Division I program. I mean, I don't care if we're 6 or 7. It doesn't matter. They're kids, and you can only play 11 at a time, and that's what we're going to do. And very proud of our coaches and very proud of our players, and our community has been great in the school. And, so just happy to be where we are, but it's not over.
Coach, that kid you talk about at quarterback, Owen McCroskey, what kind of tone does he set for the rest of the team?
Oh, he's a perfectionist. Even at practice, if he underthrows a ball or it's not a perfect ball, he gets mad. We ran a play last night, and I saw him pull it. It was going to Dylan Anderson, and he pulled it and read the defensive end, and everybody thought he got tackled, our running back, but Owen pulled it, ran around, and scored a touchdown. He's a leader. I mean, he's willing to jump in anywhere. We had him on the kickoff return team because they onside kick the ball all the time. They're great people, and they practice hard, and I love them to death.
Coach, what can you tell me about Mogador? That's next on the schedule for you guys, and you're one of 3 teams, like I said, playing in Stark County in week number 13. So what are the early returns on what you see from them?
Well, Mogador has always been a great football team. We're watching film. Well, the kids are watching film now of our game last night, and we've been busy watching film on Mogador. They love to run the ball. First game I saw, they only threw it 6 times. They're going to give you multiple formations. They're physical. They play hard, and they play fast, and they're well coached. But at least we don't have to drive an hour and a half.
Coach, now I do want to piggyback off that, John. Let me give me a little leeway here. The ride there probably sucked, but when you win a game like that, how much fun is that ride back for the kids?
Oh, it's great. I had to tell them to be quiet. I needed to sleep. I mean, after they ate, they should be excited. The ride there was fine. Like I said, the charter bus was great. Obviously, a bunch of them were sleeping. I wake them up about 20 minutes before we get there to get going. And they came off the bus, and like I said, we didn't let that first score off the kickoff return. You don't like to see that, but our kids came back and they played hard. I'm telling you, we were very physical last night on both sides of the ball, and that's what we want to be.
Coach, you might want to wake them up a little bit earlier so you don't give up a kickoff return this week against Mogador, all right?
Right. We'll do that. But it's only a 35-minute ride, so they're not going to be sleeping.
All right. That's good.
Not on a school bus.
Coach, you mentioned Mogador, and I think fans in Starr County know the tradition there, but Matt Adorney, who's the coach now, was a great player there back in the day, and they do have such a tradition-rich program. How important is this game for your program and for these kids to play in an atmosphere like this with an opportunity like this?
I think anytime you can get to week 11, 12, and 13 for us, which is the first time, you just got to keep their emotions in check. And, they know what to do. Maybe not on Monday or Tuesday, but by Wednesday and Thursday, we line up and we play and we know what we're going to get. It's going to be a physical game. We know that, and we know they're well coached, and they're tradition, and that's what we're trying to build here, East Canton tradition.
Coach, I'm curious, how many of your kids are seniors? How many seniors do you have this year?
8.
So you've got 14, if I'm using the 22 they're suited up, 14 that are underclassmen. I know you're focusing on this season, and all that matters is Mogador, but getting to practice these extra weeks for the underclassmen, for the future of this program, to continue this run from this year to next year, how important is that?
I think it's very important. I mean, we got 2 extra weeks of practice. Now we got another week of practice, and they're getting better. I know it's hard sometimes because they're always on the scout team, but they're paying attention, and the young kids, they're getting a taste of it. These kids have never been in the playoffs. We haven't been here. Luckily we've been here 6 times in, my 9 years here. And this is new territory for us being in week 13. So, hey, we're going about business like we always do, and take care of our kids, get them healthy, and be ready to play on Friday night.
Coach, one last thing I wanted to ask you. I heard you say it earlier that you said you hit on both sides of the ball last night. And I know you. I know that you love old school football and you love still playing downhill and getting after it. Seeing your kids that are smaller and in the size of the roster hit and play that physical, what does that do for you? What does that say to you about these kids?
It just makes me feel great about these kids, and they've bought into everything that we've coach them, and like I said before, we're never going to abandon the basics. It comes down to blocking and tackling, and the coaches do a great job getting after the kids and at practice and getting to where they're supposed to be. They're getting coached all the time, and that's what you're supposed to do. So just proud of them, very proud of them.
Coach, congratulations on a huge win, an outstanding season, and keep it rolling, man. Keep it going. Keep this, the Hornets stinging every Friday night, man, and we'll keep having you on the Saturday morning huddle.
Well, that sounds great. I told him before the game, there's nothing better than high school football on Friday night, with under the lights. So, we got another week to see what we can do, and we'll be prepared and see what happens.
And we'll see you Sunday morning as all the coaches from Stark County are getting together to vote on the all-county team, player of the year, coach of the year. Look forward to catching up with you there Sunday morning too, Coach.
Thank you very much.
Spider Miller, man. How cool is that? What a story for East Canton. Again, big winner last night, 46-26 over Fairport Harding. Harding came in undefeated, the number 2 seed, a 7 seed beat a 2 seed and handed them their first loss and sent them packing. They're off to Cancun or the Bahamas or whatever they do on, inside the NBA. But East Canton is moving on with 22 kids, maybe 22 kids on their roster still playing in the Division 7 playoffs.
Yeah, and Kenny, I draw comparisons to things I see at the other levels of sports. And when I covered the Browns playing the Chiefs last year, I was amazed at how organized the Chiefs were in their locker room. And I was like, you can see why they win Super Bowls. And last night, Coach Spider Miller, he texted me back, and it was, trying to look at the time, it was 10:46 p.m. And I was trying to get him to come on at 10:30. He said, players are not coming in until 9. We will not be done running, lifting, and films till at least 11:30. And I'm thinking to myself, that's 22 kids, Kenny, that played a full game last night.
Right.
Probably the majority of them both sides of the football. And they wake up this morning and follow that schedule. And that's the key. That's what I loved about what Coach said there, is that he said, it doesn't matter what level we're playing at. I'm going to treat this like a Division I program. And that's why, as I said, that's why they have 8 legs up on the competition. Because of the Spider Miller years of coaching, he gets it. He sees it. He understands it. And when kids buy into that, Kenny, you can go so far when kids buy into your strategies.
And John, my personal opinion, right? This is just me. Okay. Take it for what it's worth. I think we need more coaching like that with today's kids, right? I think, Charles Barkley talked about it. Other coaches, I hear Nick Saban talking about it. If you're not practicing hard, you're not playing for me. Okay. If you're not accepting my coaching, my criticism of you, because I'm trying to make you better, then guess what? Go somewhere else. I'm trying to make you better, our team better. And part of that is constructive criticism, hard love, right? Tough love. And Spider brings, and I'm so happy for him and East Canton. And it's obvious his coaching style is working with these kids, and he's getting the most out of however many kids he has on his roster. And I wish him, like I said, nothing but the best Friday night at Mogador. We hope, like we said, we're chatting with him again next week, and the week after that, and the week after that.
Yeah, it's the feel-good story of the county right now. When I saw John DeMarco last week on the sideline before our game between Northwest and Salem, I said to him, Coach, you've had an up and down year, and I said to him something about Zach Slates, and he said, man, I'm just so happy for Zach. And he said, in Spider, man,
yeah.
he said those two are grinding it out. He said they took over programs that, did not have maybe the tradition-rich programs that they've had in years past, and they just keep grinding it out. And then I said, well, Trucker's had a tough year too. And he said, Trucker had some luck at the beginning. He said, he'll be okay. Okay.
About this, Trucker was at the game last night on the sidelines for the Hoover Massillon game. So we were catching up and talking about getting together Sunday for the all county team. And he said, look, I know I've got a bunch of young kids, right? So when we vote on Sunday, I don't know how many of our kids will be in the conversation, but I'll tell you what, even though we went 1-9, I had fun coaching these kids. They learned, they got better, and next year and the year after, benefits hopefully will be paid, for the Crusaders with a lot of the young kids that they played this year. So coaching matters. It just really does, John. And you know what else matters? Our sponsors. And we mentioned the Marianne Donuts Sweet Play of the Week from your game at Lake. And we've got to show the delicious food and donuts and everything that Marianne Donuts offers each and every day. So I'll tell you what, Friday nights, we love Friday nights. So does Marianne Donuts. Hard hits, big plays, and Marianne Donuts. Nothing says football in Canton like a box of fresh donuts and hot coffee from Marianne Donuts. Pumpkin football-shaped donuts. We got all the fall favorites that keep things going strong. Fuel you with the coffee that you see right there. Marianne Donuts, Canton's game day tradition since 1947. And congratulations to Ty DeGeorge and Alex Quire as they claimed this week's Marianne Donuts Sweet Play of the Week with their touchdown pass late in that game yesterday in the tough loss to Hudson. Here it is. Collins throws it, tipped by Fuller into the arms of Ty DeGeorge. Touchdown, sweet play of the week.
No question. Very sweet play, and a play that they will remember. Alex and Ty and Chase Fuller will remember for the rest of their lives. Despite a loss, they will remember where they were when they had that crazy play. Hey, another one of our sponsors, and I know that we're going to get Nate Moore hopefully on here soon, but Kenny, I was taken aback last night by this kid's numbers. That is our Community One Credit Union Player of the Week. What did I see? Did I see 12 of 13 through the air? Did I see that for this young man from Massillon?
Yeah, Manny Patterson didn't have the greatest of games against McKinley, but they won, right? So that's all that really matters. And then last night, we were wondering, all right, how is Massillon going to attack the Hoover defense? Are they going to run it? Are they going to throw it? Well, they did both. And when they threw it, this kid missed one pass all night. Manny Patterson, 12 of 13, 226 yards, 4 touchdowns. And those touchdowns, went to Giorgio Jackson Jr. He caught one. Deontay Malone caught one. And Jadis Thigpen, the tight end, caught 2 of them. And what a game last night by Manny Patterson. And he is worthy of our Community One Credit Union Player of the Week. And when it comes to money, Community One Credit Union is always on your team. They've got the plays that make life easier, from loans to checking, online banking, mobile services, youth accounts, and everything in between. Community One Credit Union, where community comes first. Membership open to everyone in Stark County, and his receivers were open all night long, John Bozica. And Manny Patterson was putting the ball on the money last night, and he is very worthy of our Community One Credit Union Player of the Week.
Yeah, I saw you sent me a photo that was a little blurry because he was running towards you, but Manny gave you the thumbs up as he was running onto the field for the handshakes and the things at the end, getting set for things. And speaking of the Massillon Tigers, they join us now here on the Saturday morning huddle, and that is head coach Nate Moore of the Massillon Tigers, who stops by here. And Coach, congrats on the win last night, and thank you for joining us on the huddle this morning.
Coach, thanks for getting up with us. Congrats on the win last night. As you've had time to, I guess, look back on the victory last night, what were the keys to your team being able to dominate Hoover as much as you guys did last night?
I mean, I was really proud of our kids and how we played, and I thought that we went out and we played hard and we executed, and that was the key.
Coach, I know that it can sometimes be that simple, but why is that the case, that it can be that simple to get a great effort out of your kids to just execute and play hard?
I mean, it's not simple to get a great effort. That's hard.
How do you get that, Coach? Because we see that on a consistent basis from you, and we'll see other teams maybe that don't get that effort. So when you say that, you say it repeatedly to us, we're like, well, how does that happen on a continual basis for your squad?
I guess, you set really high standards and you hold people accountable to them. Essentially, it's not fancy. It's not glamorous, right? It's a lot of hard work. Right? It's hard. It's hard to be consistent.
Yeah.
In your effort, right? I mean, these are, when we talk about, wanting to build men, right, and those types of things, right? And we talk about wanting to build great football players, and we say that it's the same thing. It's not coach speak. Like that's the truth. That's it, right? And so we're trying to build great men here, and it just so happens that great men make great players. It's just like great men make great fill in the blank. Right. But we play football here.
Coach, I was reading this week an article, and in the article you spoke about a mentor of yours in Jim Place, a guy that you learned under. How much of what you've brought to Massillon is stuff that you learned from Coach Place?
I mean, the essence of it is everything. I mean, there's things that Is that coming from my TV?
There you go.
Is that you guys?
No, it's not us. I got my fans off.
Have a game playing in the background still?
We can hear you loud and clear, though. You're good, Coach.
Okay. You guys can hear that? Gosh,
No,
that was
no.
me crazy. Okay, it's off now. Sorry, where were we?
Yeah, talking about Coach Play.
There's something coming from you guys. I was like, what am I listening to?
Yeah, talking about Coach Place, Coach, and just his you talk about the building of men and everything like that, and how much of that is stuff that you learn from your time under Coach Place and spending time on his staff.
Yeah, I mean, it was critical. That's what made me want to be a head coach, is seeing how Coach Place ran his program, and that I think people thought that, people on the outside probably thought that it was lip service what he was saying back then also, but it wasn't, and that was real. He's developing men, and that's what drew me to this. It wasn't as much as I love running power and those types of things. Like, I do love those aspects of the game of football and whatnot, but that's not even. I mean, it's not what gets me going, and it's not what wins games at the end of the day, right? It's there's a great quote. I was going to share this with the guys this week. I saw it. I think I saw it Friday. It was Miles Davis. You guys know Miles Davis?
Yeah.
Right, one of the greatest jazz players of all time. And I won't use the same language that he used, but it was something like this: is the note you play is only 20% of it. The son of a gun that plays the note is 80%. Right. And so, like, you can be talking about football, you can be talking about, jazz, jazz musician, right? And what you do is not nearly as important as how you do it. Right. And so those are the things that we choose to focus on, because those are the things that are actually effective. Right. And listen, like, this way is not for everybody, and everybody's allowed to have their own opinion about essentially anything, but this is how we operate.
I love so much, Kenny, that Coach Moore just dropped a Miles Davis reference. I love Kind of Blue. To me, is like the best jazz album that's ever been made. And Coach, you're a big music guy though too, aren't you? Didn't you go to like a performing arts school when you were younger?
Yeah. I spent 3 years at the Cincinnati School for Creative and Performing Arts, and I majored in band and played clarinet and later bass clarinet, and minored in drama. And I also majored in visual arts, drawing and painting and that type of stuff. Yeah, you had majors and minors, kind of like a college setup.
Right. So we're getting deep here with Coach Nate Moore of the Massillon Tigers, and I like it, Coach. We like finding out things about you, the individual, and everything. And I ran into your wife on the sidelines last night, and we were talking also another game before that she was surprised that we here on the Saturday morning huddle, when you had your son Eli on as one of the guests, we actually made both Moore boys smile at the same time. She said that doesn't happen that often. So, we like trying to, loosen you up a little bit and get to know you a little bit more. And as along those lines, take the coaching hat off, if you will, and put the dad hat on last night. Eli gets to play in a playoff game for Massillon at quarterback and scores a touchdown. How did that make you feel last night?
It was an incredible experience. And with the nature of where we're at in the game, I got to take my headset off and just watch and be a dad. And it was a very, very proud moment. Not just because Eli scored a touchdown, but he's put a lot into this as other guys have. But coming off of the broken leg last year, and being a captain, but losing the starting position at quarterback and maintaining his level of leadership, and that's not everybody's got that in him, and but he does, and he's been a great leader for us all season, and so I was really proud and happy to see him get that opportunity and make something out of it.
I know too from seeing a post that Becca had made on social media too, that when he was riding the bill at the end of the Massillon-McKinley game, that it seemed like that was something that he had wanted to do for a long time. Was that something that he told you from the second he saw that as a tradition coach, that he wanted to do that and wanted to be a part of that?
No, but it certainly didn't surprise me. I mean, I remember deeply walking down the sideline to the locker room after the 2015 McKinley game, and Eli's standing on the sideline as I'm walking the locker room, and he's sobbing uncontrollably. I mean, it affected him very much, that loss in 2015, and then there's a picture in our locker room. We have kind of a mural of pictures from the past. Really, I guess our whole locker room is kind of a mural of pictures from the past. But
right.
There's a picture of the 2017 team celebrating with the bell. I think they're with the bell. They're at least with the rivalry series trophy, whatnot. And Eli's right there in the middle of it. And so that's been it's been a part of who he is, for the majority of his life. So it was a special moment for him and special moment for us.
All right, John, I want to take this, and if you can get the highlight ready from the DeSales game, I want to bring this full circle, because here's Nate Moore, coach of the Massillon Tigers, watching his son score a touchdown in the state playoff game last night. And then the head coach at Ohio State, Ryan Day, was probably watching somewhere when his son, RJ Day, throws this game-winning touchdown pass to an Ohio State recruit as well. And that young man's name is Jordan Karhoff. 5 seconds left. So RJ Day throws the game-winning touchdown pass in a state playoff game. Nate's son scores in a state playoff game. And guess what? RJ Day and Columbus DeSales going to host Massillon next week in the round of third round of the playoffs in an OHSA playoff game. I saw you watching the game last night on the Jumbotron last night, Coach. Just kind of for me, an interesting moment after what happened with your son, and then to see that with RJ Day. Your thoughts on the way that game ended and having to play them this week?
Yeah, that was it was a wild finish. We had that game up on the video board. Our game was completed a little earlier, and as I walked out, as we had finished our post-game stuff in the locker room, and I caught just the very end of that game and that last play, a pretty incredible finish. DeSales is a great program, with a very proud tradition. And they've got a great quarterback, as a lot of people know, and some other really good players. I'm sure, Coach Day is no doubt going to be, I don't know if they're home or away this week, if he's going to be able to be there. I hope he's able to be there and watch his son. It's a special thing, definitely a special thing. But, those guys, they are they're a really good team. Yeah. Right, and they had a great win last night against a tough Ashland team, and we're gonna need a great week of preparation heading into next Friday's game at DeSales.
Yeah, Coach, congrats on the win last night. Good luck next week at DeSales, and hopefully we'll have a chance to talk to you next Saturday morning as well on the Huddle.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, Coach.
Nate Moore checking in with us after a big win over Hoover last night. They trailed 7-0 and then came all the way back to win 62-7 was the final score. And John, throw that touchdown pass up one more time, if you will, from RJ Day. And we got to give some love to Mark Porter. You see him there on Twitter. That's his handle. You can go there and check it out. But this video is so cool for so many different reasons. I guess it's the fog on the field from last night, right? Adding to the mystique of this touchdown pass from RJ Day to OSU recruit Jordan Karhoff with 5 seconds left. How about this? RJ Day led Columbus DeSales on a 90-yard drive in about a minute and 30 seconds as they were trailing 29-26. They needed a field goal to tie, 11 seconds left in the game when this ball was snapped. So they wanted to take one more shot at the touchdown for the win, if not kick the field goal. Well, how about the catch by Jordan Karhoff? It looks like it's going to be intercepted as the defensive back was in perfect position. Well, almost perfect position as Jordan Karhoff able to go up and over and wrestle the ball away in the end zone on this pass to win the game for Columbus DeSales. And that means that Massillon goes to DeSales. If Ashland would have won, John, Ashland would have played at Massillon this coming Friday night.
Kenny, I'm laughing at something that happens here, and we'll see it in this final clip of it. But it is such an incredible play, and this Karhoff kid, man, already in a wide receiver room at Ohio State that has Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith. Watch RJ Day loses his lid. Watch him pick it up. Look at him. Look at the official. He was like, "Did he see that? Did he see that? Did he see what just happened there?"
Worried that he was going to get a penalty, but he didn't take the helmet off. It was knocked off in the celebration, so therefore no penalty. But how about the kid knowing the rule and hoping that there wasn't going to be a penalty call, that would have moved the extra point back 15 yards?
Yeah, I mean, it's just incredible that, it's always funny to me, Kenny, that when you get to this point in the playoffs and you get to this point in the year that you get storylines like this, like the fact that Massillon is going on the road to Columbus, and they're going to take on RJ Day, Ryan Day's son. They're going to take on an Ohio State level wide receiver in this kid that's going there in Karhoff. And, and to me, that's what makes this special this time of year too. And, no one in the county maybe sees that more than Nate Moore, in the playoffs getting to this point. I mean, you said it earlier, Kenny, the track record they've had, the dominance they've had, it's been amazing. And, I do love that we got to hear a little bit, behind the story of Nate this morning too. And, the fact that he's going to share a Miles Davis quote with his kids this week too. I mean, man, that brings such a smile to my face, because I remember listening to Kind of Blue when I was like a little kid. My parents played it for me. So, it takes a special program, and that's going to be a great atmosphere Friday at DeSales. That's really going to be a cool thing for them.
Not only do you have Jordan Karhoff, an OSU recruit, right? Don't forget Jaden Williams, while he has verbally committed to Indiana, he's got an offer from Ohio State as well. So you got two potential future Buckeyes that are going to be on the field, maybe going at each other next week, right? In DeSales and Massillon. So it should be a lot of fun, John. Hey, let's give some love again to our sponsors, John, because without them, we can't do this, right? That this Saturday morning huddle doesn't come to you every Saturday morning. AkronAutoAuction.com. Chad Bailey and his staff, phenomenal. We're heading out there Tuesday morning to shoot some video. If you've never been to an auto auction, you need to check it out. And maybe you need a car. It's open to the public. You got a chance to bid on a car at the auction. Check them out at AkronAutoAuction.com. Driving force in the industry for sure. Marianne Donuts. Each week we have our sweet play of the week, courtesy of Marianne Donuts. We love having them on board with us each and every week, and from the onset of this show, the Saturday morning huddle. So thank you, Marianne Donuts. Community One Credit Union. We honor a player each and every week as our player of the week from Community One Credit Union. And this week, again, junior quarterback Manny Patterson from the Massillon Tigers, 12 of 13 throwing the ball for 226 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, more importantly, in a playoff game. So congratulations to Manny, and thank you to Community One Credit Union. You've got a couple of the other sponsors to give a shout out to as well, John.
Yeah, Ty Colucci, DeHoff Realtors. Thanks to Ty, and thanks to Linda DeHoff and all the folks over at DeHoff Realtors right there in North Canton, serving not just the North Canton area, but all across Stark County. They have realtors all across the county that can help, and Ty is one of their more experienced guys, and whether you're buying or selling a home, he'll be there to help you with his almost 20 years of experience of doing it, and you can reach him at his email on the screen there. And then Dirty Hands Excavating and Restoration LLC, Brandon and Marissa Carl, thanks to them for all they do. They also hopped on as a sponsor on the radio and on the stream of our games. Probably have heard the spot playing during the game itself and could not do it without their help. And their motto is getting their hands dirty for a brighter future, and we can't thank them enough. Their son, Cam Carl, again, was the leading wide receiver in the county this year in terms of receiving yards, and I'm sure Coach A.J. Sarbaugh will have him on the list of guys tomorrow to hopefully be voted on to this year's all-county team. And yes, that is tomorrow. Kenny and I will be I will. Kenny will be there at the very start.
Yeah, I've got the Stark County Browns backers because it's a big game tomorrow. It's the Toilet Bowl, man. The Jets and the Browns. The Jets traded away all their key players. The Browns thank goodness they got rid of Paul DePodesta, or he left. However it happens, it's addition by subtraction. Who cares? He's gone. So the Toilet Bowl tomorrow, and the Stark County Browns backers at jerseys will be all fired up for that because it's a chance to win a game for the Cleveland Browns. So, but I'll be there for a little while talking with the coaches, and it's always great to get together with them. And they pick. That's the great thing about what we do, right? 81st year of covering high school football. When we put together our all-county teams, our player of the year, our coach of the year, it is picked by the coaches themselves. So they'll get together, commiserate over that, and pick the teams, which should be a lot of fun. Always great to see all those guys in one place. And 3 of those coaches probably will want to get out of there sooner, rather than later, because they still have film to watch and things to put together, with Spider Miller and East Canton moving on in the playoffs, Nate Moore and the Tigers moving on, and Renzi Parnell and the Bulldogs moving on as well. And, John, I want to go back because we kind of flew through the highlights of our game that we did last night, the Freshmark Sugardale Radio Game of the Week. I want to play these because it was an impressive performance by the Massillon Tigers. Now, they fell behind early 7-0 on this touchdown pass of 73 yards from John Collins to Jack Andes. Talk about Stark County Player of the Year possibilities. Andes definitely in the conversation. That was his 21st touchdown of the year, and he finished the game with over 220 yards of combined offense. But that was the only touchdown they would score in the game as they led 7-0, as Massillon then ran off 62 consecutive points. And another kid might be in the conversation for Stark County Player of the Year, Xavier Owens, one of 8 carries right here, and he takes it the distance. He finishes with 90 yards rushing, 51 on that carry. He ends up with 2 touchdowns. It's a 7-7 game in the first quarter, and I'm thinking, okay, here's Hoover driving deep in Massillon territory. Little trickeration, but the pass is underthrown. If it's out there, maybe it's a touchdown. It's not. It's intercepted. And Massillon, good teams, what do? They turn turnovers into points. And again, Xavier Owens to the corner, touchdown, 14-7 Massillon. They would add a pick 6 to make it 21-7, and the route was on. And, it didn't matter who really carried the football. J.R. McMillan here with the touchdown run of 46 yards for Massillon. He gets into the end zone. And then we're just going to see great throw after great throw after great throw from Manny Patterson as he connects on this pass play to Jadis Thigpen. The tight end caught that one. And this was just a little hitch and go. And my goodness, right before the half to make it 35-7, I believe it was Deontay Malone on that one. And Giorgio Jackson catches a touchdown pass on this fade to the far corner, perfectly thrown. Only his receiver can catch it, nobody else. So Manny Patterson 12 of 13, throwing dimes all over the field. And here's Thigpen, the tight end, again, coming right at me. A little whoop, sidesteps the defender and takes it in for his second touchdown of the game. Little high five celebration there, and Massillon rolls to a big win, 62-7. So congratulations to the Tigers.
Yeah, quite a performance by the Tigers. I think that it needs to be said too about Xavier Owens. Found out this week that he was a Wisconsin commit as well. Did not know that before this week when Nate sent over the notes about the kids being nominated for the all-county team, which right. Xavier is. He's a hey, and for good reason. Luke Fickell likes what he sees, and hey, I would too. You run that hard, you run like that. It's crazy too that his brother DeJuan was, the kid that we remember so well from a couple of years ago. But this kid, he's only a junior too, Kenny. So I mean, he's
hey, keep talking. I want to go get a sheet because you brought up DeJuan Owens. I have notes over here that I didn't get to use yesterday. I want to use. So let me get these notes and you keep talking.
Xavier Owens, though, big night last night, 2 touchdowns and. Big night there in the Tigers. Deontay Malone, too, last night. That play, that run and catch, he's been making more and more plays like that as the year has gone on, and he arguably has the biggest play of the Tigers season for them. Their punt return against McKinley that allowed them to win 21-14. But impressive effort for the Tigers, falling down 7-0 and then reeling off 62 in a row. You see it, Kenny. I mean, you see the excellence that they've built, and you see it just in terms of the athletes that they have all over the field. You mentioned, and it's such an apt statement. You said it didn't matter who carried the football. It was just that the holes were being open. They were finding ways to make plays, and that's been the Massillon way. Get the ball to the playmakers and watch the execution work against teams.
Nate and I talked after the game last night on the radio post-game. The key to Massillon's success, we can talk about DeJuan Owens when he was at quarterback. We can talk about Xavier Owens and Manny Patterson and all. It's the offensive and defensive lines. That's where this team dominates, and that's why they've won, and I'm looking at it right now, 28 straight games against Stark County opponents. Nobody's beaten Massillon in Stark County since McKinley did it. The game Nate talked about earlier in the show in 2015, his first game against McKinley. That's the last Stark County team to beat them, and that's why they've been dominant 28 straight in the trenches. It matters, but it almost doesn't. When you dominate like that, offensive line, defensive line, on offense, doesn't matter who gets the ball because there are holes to run through, and the line is just phenomenal. So 28 in a row for Massillon. Reason I stepped aside, and I didn't get to use this yesterday, DeJuan Owens, starting quarterback for Slippery Rock right now. They are 6-2. Owens has thrown for 1,269 yards, 13 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He's rushed for 7 touchdowns as well for the Rock, NCAA Division II school. He's their starting quarterback, and they're 6-2. Another starting quarterback. How about this? He was our Stark County Player of the Year just a few years ago, having an outstanding season. You got to love what Jack Poochie Snyder is doing for Sacred Heart. The Pioneers are 5-3. He's your starting quarterback now for Sacred Heart as a redshirt sophomore, FCS 1AA school, right? He's thrown for 1,414 yards, 8 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. He has 400 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns on the ground as well. So 2 former quarterbacks in Stark County doing well. I'll add a third one to that list. Cam Blair from Sandy Valley now starting for Ashland at the Division II level, John. He's thrown for over 1,600 yards and 8 touchdowns, and he's rushed for almost 300 yards and 4 more scores. So how about that? Kids we got to watch in high school, quarterbacks, right? In Jack Poochie Snyder, DeJuan Owens, Cam Blair now doing it at the next level. And I'll throw another quarterback in there, and Aiden Longwell, who's doing it in baseball, for the Colorado Rockies. Oh, boy. Paul DePodesta just went there. He needs to get out of Colorado, but he's doing a hell of a job. Aiden Longwell is in his baseball career. And then other kids. I watched Tuesday night MAC action, right? Ohio gets a win on Tuesday night, 24-20 over Miami. That's a big rivalry matchup there between those two schools, right? Charlie Christopher in that game. 12 tackles, a half a sack in the win. He's got 40 tackles as a true freshman. He was last year's Stark County Player of the Year for us, and he's starting at the Division I level. Dorian Pringle was off to an outstanding start for Bowling Green. In 3 games, he had 27 tackles, an interception, 2 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery, but he's out for the rest of the season with a knee injury. And then Dante McClellan, a pick 6 already for Missouri in Division I, right? So these kids in Stark County, we're blessed to see them in high school, and they're going on and doing big things college football-wise, Division I, 1AA, Division II, and Division III.
Well, and I'm going to take it even back further here to show you that these lineages that we help create through our all-county team truly come true. Right. So in the early 90s, it might have been the late 80s, Jackson had a really great team with former guy that worked for us, Elmer Sheets. He was our TV color commentator, and he had a player on that team named Sean Lutz, who was the wide receiver on that team. Sean Lutz is now the head coach at Slippery Rock.
Really?
And the reason why DeJuan Owens went to Slippery Rock is that Sean Lutz had called Elmer Sheets and said, "Hey, I think this kid is pretty good. What are your thoughts on him?" And he said, if he's a quarterback at Massillon, he's probably pretty good. Right. He's a great player. And he went up there and he's coaching there. And Sean Lutz years ago was the favorite target of our former Stark County Player of the Year, Jeff Morris, back in the day. He was a great split end in a wing T offense that he actually played at West Virginia, his college ball. So if you want to talk about it coming full circle, and I thought it was interesting, Kenny, you mentioned that loss all those years ago for Massillon, and Coach was just telling us Eli, his son, was crying on the sideline for it now. And my question is this, is that, what kids now are watching Eli succeed at this level and saying, I want to be like Eli Moore and riding the bell? Success,
all the players, right?
Yeah, success,
the dominance they've had.
Yeah, success breeds success, and that's the key. And that's, I think all of that we just mentioned there, all of those players, it's about the, Stark County success. It's cool to see its tentacles going to different parts of sports and being successful elsewhere. And that's just football and baseball. We have so many kids that come through that do great things. And thank you for sharing that, Kenny. That was really cool. All those notes. I'm glad you got to share that.
Yesterday, I'm like, I'm not doing all that work and not using it. And I almost forgot about it, but it's like you brought up DeJuan Owens and then boom, and I'm getting text messages about all the different players and everything like that. I feel like Adam Schefter looking down at my phone and whatnot. But yeah, I wanted to give those kids some love because, we all felt that DeJuan Owens could play at the college level. Poochie Snipe, I think Poochie should be at the MAC level. And I'm drawing a blank. Is it DeShields? Was there a quarterback from West Branch, right?
Drew. Yeah, there was a.
Yeah, Drew.
Drew, yeah.
He's now at Kent State and playing for the Golden Flashes. So another kid that we saw go head-to-head with Zerbrug, right, from Alliance in a game. And Zerbrug, I think, is with Utah now as he went from Oklahoma to – so another quarterback from Stark County that's on a Division I roster. So that's the part of this that is so much fun for us. Yes, calling the games now, but then seeing these kids go on and watch Dylan Dingler hit a home run to beat the Guardians this year, playing for the Tigers, right? And other local stars, Aiden Longwell with the Colorado Rockies, Kyle Nicholas with the Pittsburgh Pirates, and other players doing great things. It's so cool to see.
Yeah, Kirsten Bell playing with the Las Vegas Aces. Yep. It never stops, and that's why we do what we do, and we love it. And hey, tomorrow we get to crown another group of guys that voted on by the coaches. We get to name another set of all-county players so that 25 years from now, hopefully when the Huddle maybe is hosted by two guys other than our ugly mugs, that that they'll be able to say, you remember when, and they'll be able to talk about, and they'll have one of us on that are older and grayer at that point talking about that kid that we covered years ago.
Hey,
Kenny,
real
go
quick,
ahead.
Remind people they can go to our banquet if they want to. Okay, let's get a plug in for our banquet November 20th at St. Hieronymus. We will have our Stark County banquet of the year, okay? and you can get a ticket at the radio station. Just head to WHBC in the lobby, get your ticket there, cash your check, pay, get a great meal. Old Carolina Barbecue going to be serving up the food. So, Brian Bailey will have a great meal for all of us. And then we'll honor all these kids, the Stark County offense, defense, MVPs for each team. And then we'll find out who the Stark County Player of the Year is and Coach of the Year, the Jim Muzzy Award, the Jim Johnson Award. All of that happens. It's a great night, November 20th. Put it on your calendar. Stop at the station. Buy a ticket while they last. This thing usually sells out. So get a ticket and come be a part of a special night that you and I will, be introducing all these great athletes and the special award winners for that night.
Very much so. Looking forward to it. Always the highlight of our year at the station, and we can't wait to have another banquet that, hey, started way back when. If you look, we, I believe, still have the first menu, and I think they serve lima beans at the first menu, and you could get coffee or water or milk as a drink. We've upgraded just a little bit. We've upgraded just a little bit. We don't serve lima beans, and puree Breton was on the menu, and I have no idea what that is. So
I've never had it, and don't plan on eating it anytime soon, John. So
probably
hey, last reminder: 3 teams still left for us, right? McKinley on the road at Mentor, Division I, Region 1. Massillon on the road at Columbus DeSales, Division 2, and Division 7 East Canton on the road at Mogador. We will have those games covered for you in one way, shape, or form. One's going to be the radio game of the week. One's going to be the stream game, and we'll have somebody else covering the third game for you. And then we'll recap everything next Saturday on the Huddle. So best of luck to the Hornets, the Tigers, and the Bulldogs.
Should be interesting. Week 13 is here, and we've got 3 teams remaining, and all 3 are capable of continuing their journeys at this point in Divisions 1, 2, and 7. Kenny, great job as always today. Thanks to the coaches that joined, Renzi Parnell, John Spider-Miller, and, of course, Nate Moore from Massillon. And thanks to all of you for stopping by. We've had over 40 viewers consistently throughout the show today, so thanks to everyone that's been here for that. And, Kenny, go Buckeyes, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Go Browns, go Buckeyes, and we're back at it next Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Thanks to everybody. Got some great feedback at Massillon last night. While only maybe 40 live people go back and watch this, and they enjoy the show. So thank you for those kind words to all the people last night at Massillon. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Once again, we'll put them up there at the bottom so you know who's responsible for us being able to do this show every Saturday morning. So go get your donuts at Marianne. Check out AkronAutoAuction.com. If you need a car, you can bid on one there. Community One Credit Union, 2 thumbs up. D. Hoff Realtor, Ty Colucci, Dirty Hands Excavating and Restoration. Thank you so much.
Sounds great. We'll catch you guys next week.